We are counting down the 10 strangest Nazi inventions that disappeared after the war, ranking them from documented engineering marvels to the most bizarre and controversial legends. From tunnels whose purpose still baffles historians to claims of weapons decades ahead of their time, these lost technologies mix hard evidence with wild speculation. Which vanished project earns the top spot for mystery and impact? Let us begin with number 10. Deep beneath the Owl Mountains, German engineers carved out a vast network of tunnels known as Project WWII. Construction ledgers from 1944 list reinforced galleries lined with ceramic tiles and copper wiring, their cross-sections measuring up to 4 meters wide. Wartime photo negatives document incomplete capsules, cylindrical shells with magnetic rings, abandoned in side chambers before the war's end. A British intelligence memo from 1946, catalogued as FO37156745, described the unfinished infrastructure as disturbingly visionary, noting the ceramic-lined passages and unexplained electromagnetic relays. No operational train was ever found, and technical surveys after the war identified only standard electrical fittings and drainage pipes. Today, the tunnels remain, their original purpose still debated. What survives is hard evidence of ambitious engineering, massive underground works, precision linings, and hints of an unbuilt transport system, yet no proof that a vacuum maglev train ever ran beneath the mountains. A battered wartime notebook surfaced in a private archive, its pages dated to the winter of 1945 by handwriting and ink analysis. Inside, German script outlined a plan for a viral agent designed to activate only in individuals with a specific genetic marker, an idea that reads like science fiction even today. The text described a pathogen that would remain inert in most people, but become lethal when it detected a particular allele. No prototype was ever recovered, and the author remains anonymous. In 1945, the structure of DNA was still unknown. Watson and Crick's double helix lay 8 years in the future. The concept of targeting a virus by genetic sequence was decades beyond the reach of Nazi scientists, whose work focused on blood groups and crude eugenics, not molecular biology. Modern experts draw parallels to CRISPR, yet they agree this is a chilling artifact of ambition, not evidence of a real weapon. In April 1945, German technicians at Peenemünde tested a new carbon polymer skin laced with nanoscale iron particles. The project, known as Nebelhaut, aimed to absorb radar waves and scatter detection signals. During its only recorded trial, observers tracked an object as it accelerated across the range, then watched as it vanished from radar screens, even though spotters still saw it with binoculars. The material's structure used carbon to dampen electromagnetic reflections and iron particles to convert radar energy into heat, a principle measured by loss factor tests. Engineers claimed the skin's refractive index could be tuned electrically, adapting to different radar frequencies in real time. When Soviet troops reached the site, the facility had been burned to its foundations. No samples or technical logs survived. While post-war research into radar-absorbent materials followed, Nebelhaut's alleged adaptive cloak remains unverified, an early vision of stealth that outpaced the era's material science. In March 1945, a team of SS scientists in the Austrian Alps assembled a helmet of silver filaments, quartz lenses, and copper rings. The device, called Gedankenträger, was designed to channel magnetic fields through the wearer's skull, with the aim of amplifying neural impulses. Test logs describe spikes in brainwave readings, sudden compass swings, and in one case, the movement of a metal object across the room. The most disturbing entry records a subject's fatal cerebral hemorrhage during a session, followed by the laboratory's immediate evacuation and the erasure of all records. Modern neuroscience recognizes that strong magnetic fields can influence neural activity. Transcranial magnetic stimulation can disrupt speech or motor control, but only within strict physical limits, and never at a distance or with psychic effects. In 1967, a photo of a similar helmet appeared in an East German journal, only to be removed from later reprints. The original negative has never surfaced. No reproducible evidence for thought amplification has been found, and the claims remain closer to parapsychology than to physics. In the spring of 1945, technicians near Blankenberg conducted trials with a new kind of armor, an experimental suit that shimmered with a glossy gray surface. Guards wearing these suits stood as bullets and heavy weights struck their bodies. Each impact triggered a sharp vibration, the fluid membrane inside instantly hardening to deflect the force before relaxing back to a flexible state. The secret was a liquid filled with magnetic nanoparticles, engineered to thicken and solidify under sudden stress, a principle now known as shear thickening. When Allied troops arrived, they found only empty vats and a single armored glove fused to a concrete wall, its composition never fully explained. Decades later, in 2006, researchers announced a fabric that could mimic these properties for modern armor using similar fluid science. Yet no wartime records or surviving samples confirm whether the original Stahlhaut suit ever made it beyond the prototype stage. In December 1944, Luftwaffe radar crews tracked a target that twisted from a broad triangle to a narrow pulsing streak before vanishing from their screens. Pilots described a shimmering aircraft that changed shape in flight, gliding without engine noise or visible exhaust. The project, codenamed Silberspiegel, used flexible metallic plates layered over a ferrofluid core and reactive polymers. As the craft accelerated, its skin shifted to disrupt radar and scatter light. Engineers powered the prototype with a magnetic turbine, pursuing the promise of silent, combustion-free lift. Only 2 test flights were completed. On the third, ground crews reported a bluish flash overhead, then nothing. When Allied forces reached the hangar, they found it flooded, with one fuselage fragment slumped in a corner. The once rigid metallic skin had degraded into a gelatinous mass. That fragment was seized by technical teams and classified at Wright Field. No other nation has produced a shape-changing aircraft without mechanical flaps. For all the drama of the eyewitness accounts, the limits of wartime materials and power density make Silberspiegel's full capabilities deeply suspect. At Kummersdorf in 1944, engineers wheeled out a massive audio cannon designed to unleash infrasound, sound waves too low to hear, but powerful enough to rattle the body. Test records describe a 10-second burst at 30 meters, locking every muscle in the target's body. Heart rhythms went erratic, then returned to normal after the device powered down. The cannon left no burns or bruises, only a memory of being trapped inside one's own skin. When the site was later destroyed, an OSS memo dated July 1945 listed a seized frequency modulation array, a non-lethal prototype among the convoy's cargo. Decades later, a RAND memorandum from 1972 referenced theoretical weapons using subaudible frequencies to interfere with the nervous system, but no modern system has matched the silent, contactless paralysis described at Kummersdorf. Current biophysics suggests such effects remain out of reach, raising doubts about the weapon's true capabilities. In February 1945, as Soviet troops neared Prague, SS engineers ordered the evacuation of a device known as the cold generator. Resistance fighters who slipped into the abandoned facility found the air frigid. Walls rimed with frost and their instruments failing. Batteries drained in minutes. Compasses spun erratically. They described a silent machine, cold to the touch, operating without exhaust or visible fuel. When they tried to dismantle it, the temperature dropped further, forcing them to retreat. Days later, the site was destroyed. Nearly 60 years later, in 2003, a German technical memo surfaced that referenced a schematic for a magnetic inversion chamber, a system designed to manipulate magnetic entropy, a concept only formalized decades after the war. The laws of thermodynamics say energy cannot be created from nothing, and yet rumors persist that the cold generator produced power without heat. No surviving artifact has ever been authenticated. In 1943, a lead-lined crate arrived at a Soviet field lab, sealed with SS markings, and containing a device unlike anything cataloged before or since. Project Seer, as later decoded from transport documents, consisted of a black crystalline lens encased in concentric magnetic rings. Engineers reported the instrument could reveal the inner workings of sealed steel containers. No light passed through, yet internal structures became visible. When Soviet scientists tried to dismantle the device, the crystalline lens crumbled into powder within hours. Only one magnetic ring survived, its alloy resisting all attempts at replication or analysis. Metallurgists found traces of rare earths in an unknown phase structure that defied X-ray diffraction. In 1984, an East German physicist described the device's properties during a radio interview. The broadcast was erased from archives within a day, and the physicist vanished from public life. No other artifact from Nazi science has left behind such a mix of physical evidence and vanishing provenance. The Nazi bell, or Die Glocke, stands as the most infamous of all vanished technologies, yet it remains the least substantiated. The story first appeared in 2000, when Polish researcher Igor Witkowski claimed access to a secret interrogation of SS officer Jacob Sporenberg. According to his handwritten notes, the bell measured 3 meters wide and 4 meters tall, built from an unknown alloy. Inside, 2 counter-rotating drums churned a violet mercury-like liquid called Zerum 525. When powered, the device allegedly produced intense electromagnetic fields that blacked out equipment, warped light, and killed test subjects, leaving some petrified and others liquefied. No transcript of the Sporenberg interrogation has ever surfaced, and no wartime files mention Die Glocke by name. The only physical clue is a ring of reinforced concrete pillars near the Wenceslas mine, photographed in the 1990s and dubbed the Henge. Some claim it was a test rig for the bell, but structural experts see only an industrial cooling tower base. Despite decades of archival searches, not a single authenticated document or artifact has confirmed the bell's existence. Its legend endures, not for evidence, but for the scale of its claims: anti-gravity, time distortion, and biological devastation, woven into a vacuum of proof. Across all 10 entries, one pattern emerges. The line between breakthrough and legend blurs when records vanish and motives stay hidden. These secret technologies, real or mythologized, remind us how wartime secrecy breeds both innovation and mystery. The greatest unknown is what vanished along with the truth.